In this lesson, we'll just talk about a couple of tips when working with our subtools. So typically when we're working with our projects in ZBrush, they're going to consist of a number of different subtools that we want to be able to access and manipulate. So let's say that I want to go in and access a particular tooth in here. So I can come in here and I want to start to paint on one of these teeth. Well, I don't have the tooth selected right now. I just have the body selected. So I'm going to go ahead and go down the list and try to find the tooth, and there's a lot of teeth. There's a lot of teeth. So I can't really decide which tooth is what from the list, okay? I can come in and trial and error, turn them off and on, but really there's a much easier way to do this to speed things up, and that is just alt-clicking on the particular subtool. So let's say I want to access this particular tooth. I can just hold down Alt, click on the tooth, and you can see I've automatically now selected that particular subtool, which would have been very hard to find in the list without a lot of trial and error. Okay, so alt-clicking on this, and then I can go in and paint it. If I want to select another one, just alt-click on that one, and now I can paint it. Now, if your ZBrush installation doesn't behave like this, you can go check your preferences. So go into Edit, under Preferences, go into Edit, and we've got Auto Select Subtool. So that is activated, so that allows us to go ahead and hit Alt to be able to select our different subtools. So if it's not on, you can go ahead and turn that on. Now, something else that can help when we're working with our meshes is the ability to solo our meshes. And you can't see it here because of the size of the interface, but if you go up to Transform, you'll see there's a button called Solo, and this will allow you to solo whatever subtool that you happen to have selected. So it's only showing you that particular subtool. So in this case, we're only seeing the belly ridges, or we could just see the body. Okay. So the way it's set up now, we're selecting the subtools in the list. Okay, and we can turn that off by hitting Solo. If we were to go back into Preferences, and you can see that there's Allow Click to Solo, and so if we turn this on, this will allow us to, let's say we select these little spikes coming out, okay, the claws and spines. We can just left click on our canvas and automatically solo that. So then we can manipulate that. If we click again, it'll unsolo. So this combined with our alt click can give us a really nice way of selecting a subtool and then only seeing that. So alt click, click, just a couple of clicks, and there you've got the one subtool that you want soloed out. You don't even have to worry about the list. Okay, click again to bring it back. Say we want to do the claws, so alt click, click on the canvas, and there are all of our claws. Click again, they're back. So those two combined can really help you speed up your workflow, so you don't have to try to kind of slog through the subtool list to find the subtool that you happen to be working on. Now there are methods for organizing this a little bit better, moving things up and down the list, so it's always good to keep it organized, but in most cases it's going to be easier for you to come in and actually select from here. Now in some cases you may not be able to see it as well, so in those cases you can certainly select from your list also. Now one thing that we can do here to speed things up when we're working on our subtools, if we're doing some sort of a deformation on them, let's say we go up to the body here, go down to deformation, and let's say we want to rotate this. So we'll go to rotate and say 90 degrees. Okay, so now we've rotated the body, but everything else hasn't been rotated yet. So we could go back into each individual subtool and rotate those all 90 degrees, or we can come down here and say repeat the last action to whatever subtool we happen to have selected. So we could select a new subtool and then just hit this button to repeat that, or we can say I want to just repeat what I last did to all the other visible subtools. So if I go ahead and hit this, it's going to go ahead and apply 90-degree rotation to all of our other subtools, so that you can see it's actually lined everything back up again, and we didn't have to go through this whole long list rotating everything. So if you're doing some sort of a deformation, if you happen to be moving something, rotating it, if you happen to be smoothing it out, inflating it, whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to do it to multiple subtools, make sure that you don't forget about these buttons down here. You can repeat it to your active subtool, or you can repeat that action to any of the other visible subtools. And so that can really speed things up. If you have a some sort of a movement or deformation or relaxation or something, a polish maybe that you're doing that you want to repeat over a number of different subtools, make sure to check those out. Okay. So in the next lesson, let's go ahead and finish up by talking about macros. So how we can set up things to happen automatically just with a click or a hotkey. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that in the next lesson.